Okay, so hi guys, and welcome to English class. So I hope you all been well. You've been having a great day so far and ready to get into learning more English. So if you remember, the last thing that we've been doing from the class before was we were talking about places, and we learned how to know how to say the time. So now we can tell someone the time and what time we want to meet up, for example, see them. We talked about describing cities. So now we know how to express, to say what we think about a city by using adjectives. So if a city is beautiful, it's amazing, it's crowded, it's polluted, it's clean, it's dirty. So we know how to talk about a city, just very basic, but we still know how to talk about it. Then we looked at the present simple tense. So now we're going to look at our action words and say an action, tell someone some information about the present moment. So we use the present simple. We learned that we have a subject. So I, you, he, she, it, we, they. Then we have the verb. And only for he, she, it, we put an S to the verb. And a sentence, for example, is I work as an English teacher. I live near the city. I enjoy many things in life. I like nature. I drink coffee. So that's what it is. It's being able to tell someone something in this moment about yourself or someone else. And we also know how to ask questions. So, for example, do you? We know how to say, do you like? So remember, it's do, subject, verb. So do you like? Do you enjoy? Do you want to go for a walk? Do you need anything? Do you like Australia? Do you prefer speaking English or Spanish? So we know how to ask a question with do. And we also know how to ask a question with the W's: what, where, when, why, who. So for example, where do you work? That's a present simple question. Why do you like soccer? That's a present simple question. When do you finish work usually? So again, present simple. And that's where we've been, that's where we left, where we finished last lesson, and we're going to continue. So really understanding the present simple with questions, and then also looking at some reading. We're going to do a little bit of reading today. So again, we're going to practice our pronunciation. You get to hear the way that I will read, and you can read after me. So that's really good for pronunciation, and also knowing the flow. So making sure that we don't just stop a sentence in the middle and have, like a pause. You really need to read the same way that I read. It needs to be continuous and only stop when you see a full stop, unless you have a comma where you take a break in your breath. So that reading will really help us with being able to read a lot more fluent, more natural. And then we're going to look at some numbers. So we know how to count, to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But now we're going to use a different way of using numbers. So for example, what's your first ever memory as a kid? What's your, what Argentina, did they come first or second or third? What's your second favorite thing in the world or whatever? So we're going to use words like first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and so on. So we're going to know why do we need to use that kind of number system instead of saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're going to learn how to do that. And yeah, we're just going to keep doing that. So let's get into our lesson. No one's come online yet, but let's continue. So we're on page, I believe we're here. We're just finishing off the archaeologists. Remember how we read, we looked at Dr. Beverly Goodman. She was a marine archaeologist. So we were able to write about her, Beverly Goodman, and put the sentences in the present simple. So we did number 5 last lesson. Now we're going to do number 6. So we have these verbs. We've got not have, so that's a negative. We've got live, speak, study, travel, work. So we need to know what those verbs, those action mean. And now let's put them in the present simple. So again, just being able to give someone some information about Dr. James E. Campbell, about what he does. Where does he live? What does he speak? What does he study? Travel, work. So let's do that together. So we have, and we'll take some notes together. So number 6, it says, Dr. James E. Campbell, something in England. What can we say? Lives? Yeah, lives. So remember, for he, she, it. And welcome. Hi, Valeria. So Dr. James E. Campbell lives. We need to put an S in the present simple when we talk about he, she, or it, when we talk about someone else. So he lives in England, and the pronunciation is lives. The verb by itself is live. Live, and then Dr. James E. Campbell lives in England, and his, remember that's from he is, the verb to be, when we're talking about someone's job or their location or their age and so on. And he's an archaeologist. That's his job. He works. He works at home. So he, it's a negative, doesn't have. So for he, she, it, we put doesn't. For us, like as in I don't have, you don't have, we don't have, they don't have. But for he, she, it doesn't have. Yeah. So he doesn't have an office. That's a negative. He, to different places? No, he travels. He travels to different places. So you got to pick the correct action to what it's trying to say. So to many places, he travels to many places around the world, and he studies. So remember, any action word that has a Y as the ending, you change it to IES. So he studies, and we've got to make sure we pronounce that ES. So studies, ancient places. So really make sure strong ending on the S's. Studies, ancient places. James speaks. Don't forget the S at the end. He speaks 3 languages: English, French, and Arabic. Okay, so let's have a look at the pronunciation. So that's why before I was trying to get you to focus on the S at the end of the verb. Why? Because we have different sounds that we make depending on what's the action. What does the action word end in? So if the action word ends in a CH or an S, so for example, church, finish, you add the ES. So it becomes finishes. It sounds like an IZ, finish is. Can you see the is? Finishes. Teach is, teaches. And church, churches. So again, if the action word ends in a CH or SH, so finish, teach, church, what other action words ends in a CH? Anyways, if any ending like that, you add an ES. If the action words has a consonant, so remember, not a vowel, A, E, I, O, U, but a consonant, or the other letters. So for example, work ends with a K, meet ends with a T, start ends with a T, speak ends with a K, and travel ends with an L. These letters are called consonants. They're not A, E, I, O, U, vowels. So when you have an action word that ends in a consonant, all you need to do is add the S. So it becomes works. It's like a snake, an S sound. Works, meets, starts, speaks, travels. So there's a like a snake, snake sound. Now, if the action ends in an E, like live or go, live, go is actually not a good example. Like any action word that ends in an E, you add an S, but the S sounds like a bees. So it's lives. I can almost hear like a vibration, like a zzz, a vibration, like my throat is moving. Zzz. So it's lives, goes. So if it ends in an E, or if it ends in any of the vowels, A, E, I, O, U. So go becomes goes. Now again, we only add the S to the action words when we're talking about he, she, it as the subject. So he finishes work at 3 o'clock. She teaches biology. He works at the bank. She meets her husband every week, or her co-worker every week after work. She starts work at 9 o'clock. He speaks many languages. She travels to Colombia every year. She lives in the hills, and she goes to visit her grandmother every week. So we need to add an S to these actions, and it's when we're talking about she or he or it. It is like an object, like the bank, it closes at 5 o'clock. So it is a non-living object. It's not a he or she. It's just a non-living object. It, the laptop, it. Okay, so if we go back to our textbook, so we can see, we're going to listen to an audio, and you're going to add what is the sound of that S at the end of the word. So works has that S like a snake. So it's like this symbol you need to put. Lives has that B sound, so you put a Z. And finishes, we know because that's an action word that ends in an SH, it has the IZ sound, is. So let's see which one do we hear the ending for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So put the symbol next to the sound that the ending of that action word has. Okay, so let's listen.
Track 34. Unit 3B. 1. Works. 2. Lives. 3. Finishes. 4. Studies. 5. Meets. 6. Starts. 7. Speaks. 8. Teaches. 9. Goes. 10. Travels.
Okay, I'll play it one more time.
Track 34. Unit 3B. 1. Works. 2. Lives. 3. Finishes. 4. Studies. 5. Meets. 6. Starts. 7. Speaks. 8. Teaches. 9. Goes. 10. Travels.
Okay, so number 4, studies. What sound is that? Is it the IZ? Is it the snake sound or the B sound at the end? Which one? The IZ? Yes, studies. Because studies. If it ends in a Y, we change the Y to an IES. So it's this rule here. And yes, that's how it sounds. Okay, meets. No, it has a snake. Meets. We know because it ends in a consonant, so it must go on this rule with the snake sounding ending. Meets. Like snake. Starts. That's the snake sound, so make sure you put this symbol. Speaks. The snake sound. Teaches. Is, it has the IZ, so teaches. Goes. That's here with the B sounding Z. Goes. Because why? It ends in a vowel. Go. So even if you think of the action do, so how would I pronounce that for he, she, it? So she does. It's got that B's. She does. So anytime you have a vowel ending, so the vowel, if it ends in the vowel, then that's how I know to make that sound. If the verb ends in a vowel, and travels. Yeah, because it ends in a vowel, L, so it makes this sound, the snake sound. Travels. Okay, so that's 3 different ending to the S for the action word when we say he, she, it. So you got to know that there's a different sound. Is, s, z. So you got to be able to make all those noise. So that's is, s, z. Yep, so 3 sounds. Okay, so present simple questions. What does he do? He's a doctor. Does she have children? Yes, she does. Or no, she doesn't. So we talked about this last time. When we ask questions about he, she, it, we must say does. Does she? Does he? And then the main action. So does is not the main action. It's the auxiliary verb, which just means it's a helper verb. It's a second verb, but it's not the main one. The main one is have. And in the first question, what does he do? The main verb is do. So let's look at these. So we've got, for number 10, we have to rearrange to make it a proper sentence. What does Beverly do? She's a marine archaeologist. Number 2, how can we make that a proper sentence? What does she study? Yep, because we know to make a question, let's look back at our rules. To make a question, we start with either do or does, subject verb, or one of the W's or the how, and then the do or does subject verb. So there's 2 ways to make a question in the present simple. So number 2 is coming from this second rule. What does she study? So I can follow that rule and be confident that's how I make a good, proper sentence. To ask about she, her. What does she do? What does she study? So the main action is study. What does she study? I want to know. Number 3, I can see a W. So let's start there. Where does she work? Perfect. It's a cis rule as well. Where does she work? Number 4, again, I can see the W. So that's the first thing. Perfect. What time does she get up? The main action is get up, to wake up. It's the same as saying, what time does she wake up? What time does she get up? And what time does she? Because we know does is for he or she. What time does she? What time does he get up? And the last one starts with a W. When? Yes, when does she start? Now there's no S, be careful on that. Start. When does she start work? And hi, Janeth. Sorry. Janeth, you're online today with us. Good. So we know how to make a question for he, she, it in the present simple. Okay, let's do these questions. We know we talked before about Dr. James E. Campbell in number 6. Let's make some questions. So number 1, where, what? And then the answer is in England. Where? Yeah, where does he work? Where does he work? Could be where does he live? But yeah, it could be as well, where does he work? Where does he live? Yeah, in England. What would question 2 be? What if the answer is he's an archaeologist, which is talking about his job, what he does for a living, for work? What would the question be? I don't know if it's not his study. He's not studying. He is an archaeologist. That's his job. Like I'm not studying teacher. I am a teacher. So what does he do? Do means for work, for a living, not study, because to study something and to work is different. So what does he do? He's an archaeologist. Number 3, does no, because no, he doesn't. He works at home. So it looks like I'm asking about location of something. Does he work? Does he work in an office? No, he doesn't. He works at home. So remember, I'm getting this information from question 6, which is question 6. Does he work in an office? No, he doesn't. He works at home. 4, where? Yeah, where does he travel to? Yeah, where does he travel? To different places around the world. Yeah, where does he travel to? Because we want to know where, like location. Not when, which is a different question. Not why, not what, but where, location. And what languages does he speak? There's no S on speak because we've got the S here already for does. So what language does he speak? There's no S. You've got to make it a strong K. What languages does he speak? And the answer, English, French, and Arabic. Okay, so now we're going to do an exercise. We're going to get into groups. Okay, and do number 12. So I'll put you into groups and we'll come back and discuss it. Okay, so let's get back into the class. Let's get back into the class, everyone. Okay, so now they're all chatting. At least looks like there's fun conversation. I wish it was in English. Yeah, I don't mind if they talk. I just wish in English. But okay, so everyone, we're looking at places. So everyone, ready? We're looking at places and languages. So which languages do people speak around the world and which are most popular? So we know that English is one of the most, obviously the most popular languages in the world. Maybe Chinese, because there's a lot of Chinese speakers, a lot of Chinese people in the world, and Spanish. Yeah, Spanish. We know that not only Latin America, but in Spain. Okay, so let's read the article on the next page, and then we're going to answer the questions. Okay, so everyone, you ready to listen? We're on page 39. I'm going to play the audio. So everyone, I'm going to play the audio for the reading, and then we're going to talk about it. Okay, ready? Let's 35. Unit 3C. You can repeat after it if you want. Places and languages. There are over 100 in the world and about 7,000 languages. Over 1 billion speakers in China speak Mandarin Chinese. So Chinese is in first place compared to other languages. The language of Hindi in India is in second place, and Spanish is in third place. Spain isn't a big country, but there are over 470 million Spanish speakers in different countries around the world. 418 million speakers live in Latin America. They all speak Spanish as their first language. As a first language, English is in fourth place. About 380 million people are native English speakers.
But English is a second language for over 1 billion other people. They speak English for doing business, reading the news, or studying science and medicine. In some countries, English is not the native language, but it is the official language for the government. It is also the language of education in many universities and schools. About 80% of the world's population speak the Big Four languages, and the other 20% speak 6,996 languages between them. And many countries use lots of different languages. For example, on the islands of Vanuatu in the South Pacific Ocean, there are 65 different islands, and they have 109 different languages. That's 1.5 languages for every island. Unfortunately, the world loses a language every 2 weeks. This is because lots of younger people only speak one of the Big Four languages, and they don't learn the languages of their parents and grandparents. For example, Charlie Muganga lives in Australia, and he speaks English because it is the first language of the country. But his native language is Amharic. Charlie is the last speaker of this language, and when he dies, the language dies.
Okay, so we heard a lot of interesting information about languages and the places. So where do most Spanish speakers live? I'm going to give you 1 minute to reread the article and then to answer questions 3. And then we'll come back, actually, before we answer the question. So I'll give you 1 minute to read it. You can read it with the person next to you if you want. Look up any words that you're not sure what they mean. So this is a good opportunity to make sure you really know what it means. Okay, and we'll come back. We'll answer questions 3. We'll come back soon. Okay, so hi, Victor. And so guys, we all finished reading. So Victor, we just did page 37 and then 39. We read this article about places and languages. So let's do some of the questions. So we have the question that asks us, where do most Spanish speakers live? Latin America? Yes. Okay, so Latin America, most Spanish speakers live in Latin America. Do more people speak English as a first language or as a second language? Second language. What do many people use for English? Sorry, what do many people use English for? Business, reading the news, and studying science and medicine. That's why people use English. How many languages are there in the islands of Vanuatu? 109. That's how many islands, 109 islands. And how many people speak Amharic? 1. And his name is Charlie. He's the only person who speaks that language. Okay, so as I said earlier, we're going to be talking about these numbers. They're called cardinal numbers. So we use cardinal numbers. So remember, it's not normal numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. These are called cardinal numbers. And we use cardinal numbers when we need to compare So maybe we're comparing teams, you know, this team is better than this team, or this video game is the best, it's the first. Exactly. Michael Phelps, an American swimmer, always comes first. He never loses. So he always comes first. So when we're comparing a player to another player, he's always first. In competition, so that's when we're talking about sports, you know, like Argentina in the World Cup, they came first in the last World Cup. Also, when we talk about birthdays, so this year, it's going to be my grandma's 80th birthday. If you want to ask, tell someone, come to my birthday. It's going to be my 32nd birthday. So that's how we use it. Or when we talk about the time of the month. So for example, I will see you on the 8th of December. Or the next excursion will be on the 23rd of November. So whenever I need to talk about the date in the month, then I need to use these numbers. So remember, these are called cardinal numbers, and they're different to when we say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever. We're not counting, we're comparing, we're talking about competition, birthdays, or time of month. So let's go maybe, let me show you an example from our reading. So if you remember in our reading, it said over 1 billion speakers in China speak Mandarin Chinese. So Chinese, because we're comparing, is in first place compared to other languages. So that's that word right there, first. Not is in one or number one, but is in first place. Okay, so I'll give you a moment to go back to the article and underline. So remember, that means put a line under the words, the cardinal numbers, sorry. And yeah, so I'll give you a moment to do that. So wherever you find in the article, I can already see it said third, first, what else? What other numbers, cardinal numbers can you see? Yeah, first. Okay, so that's cardinal numbers. So look in your article and just underline the words. Just some other example. Today is the second day of the week. Actually, because we're on Wednesday, sorry, we are on Tuesday. I thought it was Wednesday. Today is the second day of the week. June is the 6th month of the year. She is celebrating her 3rd birthday. So if you have a little daughter, my daughter is having her 3rd birthday. I want to invite you. She is my 2nd lover. So we can write it like that or write the word second. The name, this was an example from one of my students. The name of my first friend is Jesus Christ. Okay, so that's how we use these cardinal numbers. Okay, so very different to just normal numbers. Okay, let's get into doing the exercise. So in number 6, I can see it says something, something, third, something, fifth, sixth, seventh. So what's the first one? First. So that's how we pronounce it. First, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th. 11th, 12th, 13th, and you continue all the way to 20th. That's a super hard one. So the next one, it says 3rd, 13th. What would the next number be? If it's going up by 10. 23rd? 23rd? Yep, the next one. 33rd. Yes, 33rd. And then 43rd. Okay, number 3. It looks like it's going up by 21st, 31st, 41st, 51st, 61st, 71st, one more, 81st. Okay, this one, 81st. Okay, the number 4, so 100th, 101st, 110th, 111th. What would be the next number? 120th, 121st, and 130th. So they get very confusing near the end. Okay, so let's listen to the answers for number 6 in an audio and make sure you've got the right answers there, and then I'll tell you some more about them. So let's just listen first.
Track 36, Unit 3C. 1. First, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, 2. Third, 13th, 23rd, 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 20. 21st, 31st, 40th, 51st, 61st, 71st, 81st, 4. 100th, 101st, 110th, 111th, 120. 121st.
Okay, so let's look at these sentences. The language you learn after your first language, what is that called? Your second language. So that your first language is Spanish or Portuguese, or Shirley's not here, Spanish or Portuguese. The second one that you learn is called your second language. If you know, ESL, English as a second language. Okay, your first language is called your native language. So the main language that a person speaks, that's their first language, or it could be their native language as well. Okay, so you could say English. For me, I could say English is my first language. English is my native language. They're the same meaning. But what about the language of the government? What's that called? So in Australia, the official language, that means that's the language that the government speaks, is English. It's the official language. It's the language that the government of a country speaks. So in Colombia, it would be Spanish. In Brazil, Portuguese. Yeah. Or maybe you have other government languages in Brazil because it's, I don't know. The language you first learn from your parents as a child is your native language. Yeah. A little bit of Arabic from my parents. Yeah, little bit. Not as good as my English. Not very good. So, yeah, English, I still say English is my first language because I don't really remember speaking Arabic as a kid. But it could be my second. I do. Yeah, but my parents, when I was young, they always spoke Arabic. So for my parents, English is their second language. Their native language is Arabic. But for me, it's not my native language because as a kid, I spoke English. I mixed it because, you know, I'm born in Australia. A little bit. Not very good. Yeah, I'm learning Portuguese. I know. You guys are teaching me Portuguese. Okay, so a person who speaks Spanish. And we also have mother tongue. Have you heard of that word? So if I say to you, what is your native language or what is your mother tongue? That means the same thing. What is your first language? What is your native language? What is your mother tongue? So that's the same thing. And a person who speaks Spanish is a Spanish speaker. A person who speaks French is a French speaker. So I am an English speaker. A person who speaks the language from when they were a child, again, native speaker. So native speaker. So native speaker, when you speak that language as a child, that's your native language. Okay, let's look at writing paragraphs. So when we write, we need to have a paragraph, and a paragraph separates our ideas when we write. Now, in the first sentence of a paragraph, you have one or two sentences, and then you have supporting information. So you're giving examples, and then a concluding sentence to just sum up what you've said. So if I look at this first sentence, Chinese is in the first place compared to other languages. That's a main idea, right? So guys, we need to be quiet. If I said 1 billion speakers in China speak Mandarin Chinese, that's a supporting evidence. That's a sentence that's giving you examples. So we call that a supporting information. The main idea is a sentence that just says something as the main idea, the main topic. So let's look at number one. Is it a main idea? You can put an M, or is it a supporting sentence? So if I said English is a second language for over 1 billion other people, that's a main idea. That's not an example. That's the main idea. That's the main topic. They speak English for doing business, reading the news, or studying science and medicine. Was that giving examples or talking about a main idea? It was supporting information. S. Number three, it is also the language of education in many universities and schools. Supporting, because I'm adding information to support my first sentence. So it's a support, it's a adding, giving evidence, giving examples. If I said the other 20% speak around 6,999 languages, supporting, especially when there's numbers, that's how you know it's a supporting information. It's like when you see something like, oh, well, 50% of Australians have another language that they speak, a sentence like that. So when there's a number, like a percentage or a number, you can tell that that's maybe you're giving someone some evidence, some information. Many countries use lots of different languages. Supporting or main. It's not telling me what the different languages were. That's the main idea, that many countries use lots of different languages. That's my topic, my main idea. So number 5, main, and number 1, main idea. Number 6, on the islands of Vanuatu in the South Pacific Ocean, there are 56 different islands and they have 109 different languages. Again, because there's numbers supporting. Okay, so we need to know the difference between a main idea and a supporting sentence. This is what's in a paragraph. Remember, a paragraph is about one idea. It's about 5 or 6 sentences, and it's the body part of your writing. It's not the introduction. It's not the conclusion. It's, well, a paragraph is both an introduction and a conclusion, but usually it's in your main, your body. Okay, let's do some of these questions together. So what is your first language? Spanish? Yeah. Online? Clayton, Victor, Valeria, what's your first language? French.
Do you speak Spanish?
No, I wish. Yes.
Oh, I learned your first language is English.
Yes.
The second Portuguese.
Yes.
Third Spanish.
Okay, perfect. I will learn. Well, a lot of people don't learn a second language in Australia. It's not common. So they only have English. But it depends. If their mum and dad are from a different country, usually there's a lot of Italians and Greek. So they'll speak Italian and Greek. But a lot of them don't speak a second language. It's not popular here to learn a language. Did you know that? Yeah, Australians are not interested much. I wish they were. I think it's very important to speak a second language. A lot of them are not very interested. But we're in school, yes, that's where. What languages? It's very common: Japanese, German, French, and I think Spanish, but not every school offers those languages. So you have to, if you want Spanish, you have to find, I don't know, it'll be very hard to find a Spanish school. I know that it's more common to find an Italian and maybe German. But that's what I mean. It's not very big in Australia. So people do it by themselves. They learn online. Portuguese. So Clayton, yes, your first language is Portuguese. How many languages do you speak? 1 and 1.5? 1.5? So you could say English is 1, you can count 1. So you all speak 2 languages, minimum. Yes, they have about 250 languages. Yeah. I don't know. So Aboriginal language, that's very interesting. They have many different languages from themselves. Yeah, 250. Maybe they have a little bit similar. I can give you an example. Let's watch an Aboriginal. I'll show you what our Australians look like. It's an Aboriginal speaking. This is an interesting. Maybe this video. So let's have a look at more. So we looked at Mirawong being one of the 250 languages that Aboriginal speaks. Is English your second language? I think, yeah, for a lot of you. Does your country have an official language? Yeah. Maybe in Brazil, like I said, What are the official languages in Brazil? Portuguese, but only the indigenous must be, yeah, there must be something for the indigenous. I know Portuguese is the main one. Maybe I'll type indigenous. Here we go. This one, I don't know. Yeah. So it's not, because Portuguese 98% is the official. So about 2% it maybe is something from one of these indigenous languages. It is? Not. Not. The indigenous, not common. Okay. So there you go, in Brazil. What languages do people normally learn at school in your country? English? English, I think, around the whole world. And they say that younger people don't learn languages of their parents or their grandparents. Do you think this is true? So I know in Australia that yes, it is true. When I look at the Italian community or the Greek community, they don't speak the language of their parents or their grandparents very much because, it's all English here. But it's good in Colombia, for example, it's very strong to keep the Colombian, to keep Spanish. And not only that, for the native indigenous people, they must keep that language. Okay, so let's have a break. And when we come back, we're going to do some group work. And now also as well, so let's have a break. Okay, so we're going to do something a little bit more interesting now. So you know how we've been speaking about places? We know how to describe what the place looks like by using our adjectives. We know how to talk in the present simple, to talk about what we work, where we live, what we speak, what we study. Now we're going to look at, again, a place, but talking about directions. So guys, we need to be quiet so everyone can hear. So we need to be quiet. So it's very important that you need to know how to tell someone where to go, the directions. So maybe you are visiting a new place, or George, because everybody needs to listen. So it's really important we know how to tell people directions, where to go. So that's what we're going to be doing, looking at directions and not just giving directions, but maybe we need to ask, how do I get somewhere? Can you tell me where the bank is? Where is whatever? So let's make our English really good with knowing how to give someone direction, maybe when somebody comes to visit your country, or if you are a tourist or a visitor and you need to ask someone. So where are we? We are in page 40, the city of Atlanta. So let's look at some vocabulary for places in a city. So when you are a tourist in a new city, what places do you normally visit? Monuments, same. Old buildings, historical buildings, structures, statues. Malls, yeah, to go shopping, malls, markets. Markets a little bit more like, you can buy different things in the market. I like markets when I think of a different country because you really see the food that's local for that country. Libraries, some people, art gallery. No, really? I know. Yeah, I know. Parks, maybe the local parks. Maybe if there's like SeaWorld or some sort of like park, like if you go to Queensland, they have I think it's like obviously Disneyland and Disney World is in America, but in Queensland we have Warner Bros. Or is it Warner Brothers? So these are just called like themed parks, you know, maybe it's like something, but that's in Queensland. Movie World, yeah, Movie World. These are places. So they're called theme parks. So Wet and Wild, oh, this is a good one. It shows you all of them in Wet and Wild, Sea World, Warner Bros, Movie World. Maybe you go to the theater. You like theater, to go to places about theater, to see musical theater. So these are places in a city. Okay, so we're not talking about the city, but the places that are inside a city where people want to go to see. So let's look at this map. We are in Atlanta, which is a city in the USA. And these are roads. And I can see, where do you do these things? To get tourist information, you would go to the visitors center. So if I need to get any information about the city, I go to the visitors center, or tourist information. To learn about history, the library, yeah, because we can read books. To relax outside in the park, see a play or musical, we go to the theater. Where can we see here? Theater, right there, theater. To park your car in a car park, read a book, library, meet clients and colleagues, so business meeting, maybe the CBD or the business district. So if you want to go, you know, to make a business meeting or to see a lawyer, or look at sea life, aquarium or Sea World, maybe it's called something in a country. Stay the night. Hotel, of course, hotels. And some hotels have resorts. So you can just stay completely in the hotel and there's everything there. So that's really good to know these places. Okay, let's listen to a conversation at a visitor center. And what places on the map do they talk about? Okay, so let's listen.
Track 37, Unit 3D.
Hello. We'd like to go to the aquarium. Is it near here?
It's about 15 minutes away. But you go past some interesting places on the way. So look at this map. Go straight up Decatur Street and then up Marietta Street. Go across Spring Street and take the first street on the right. Centennial Olympic Park is on the corner. It's very nice. Go across the park, and on the right, there's the World of Coca-Cola.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
Yes, it is. Go past it, and the aquarium is opposite.
Great. Thanks a lot.
Okay, what places did the man want to go to? Aquarium is one, so you can circle this place here on the top left. The Coca-Cola, yeah, the World of Coca-Cola, yeah. The aquarium, yes. And the Olympic Park, the Centennial Olympic Park. Okay. Any other places? Did we hear? No? Okay. Car park. Okay, so the park, the Centennial Olympic Park, the aquarium, World of Coca-Cola. But she was giving him directions, but where did he want to go to? So that's good because it says what places on the map do they talk about? So yes, the Olympic Park, the World of Coca-Cola, the car park, she told him. But the main location where he wanted to go was the aquarium. Okay, so let's look at the conversation now that we heard before in the audio. And T, tourist, that was the man, and the guide. The guide is someone who's helping him to tell him where to go. It's a tour guide. Okay, so let's listen to the audio again and fill in the missing words.
Track 37, Unit 3D.
Hello. We'd like to go to
The aquarium. Is it near here?
It's about 15 minutes away. But you go past some interesting places on the way. So, look at this map. Go straight up Decatur Street, and then up Marietta Street. Go across Spring Street, and take the first street on the right. Centennial Olympic Park is on the corner. It's very nice. Go across the park, and on the right, there's the World of Coca-Cola.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
Yes, it is. Go past it, and the aquarium is opposite.
Great, thanks a lot.
Okay, so we have the conversation. Let's have a look. So we have tourist says, hello, we'd like to go to the aquarium. Is it near here? Is it near here? Or is it close by? That's another word. Is it close by? Is it nearby? That's one word. Is it nearby? Or is it within walking distance? So maybe you're only walking. So is it within walking distance? Or is it around here? Is another way to say that. Is the aquarium around here? Or is the aquarium far away? So that's all the same way to say near here. The guide says it's about 15 minutes away. So you need to say it's about, or you could say it's around. When you're talking about time, you can only say about. It's about 15 minutes away. But you can go past some interesting places on the way. So on the way. So look at this map. Go straight up. It just means continue. Go straight up. So it means continue. Go straight up Decatur Street and then Marietta Street and then up Marietta Street. So up is like continue. Number 4, go across. So that means I need to cross the street. I need to, from one side of the street, I need to go to the other side. So go across Spring Street and take the first street. So we looked at these words, ordinal. The first street on the right. Centennial Olympic Park is on the corner. It's very nice. Go across the park and on the right, there's the World of Coca-Cola. Oh, that sounds interesting. Yes, it is. Number 6. Go past it. And the aquarium is opposite. Remember, opposite is like in front of. It's opposite. Great. Thanks a lot. Okay, so we have expressions for giving and asking about directions. They're called expressions. So you'll see, for example, so you'll see expressions are like saying, when you're asking, you can say, can you help me, please? Or may I ask you a question if you want to stop someone on the street? You can then say, where is, and then the name of the place. Where is the library? Where is the movie theater? Where is the cinema? You could say, I'm looking for the library. Do you know where it is? I'm looking for the bank. Do you know where it is? So it replaces the place because I don't want to keep repeating, I'm looking for the bank. Where is the bank? Do you know where the bank is? We don't want to keep repeating the noun. So we say it after. I'm looking for the bank. Do you know where it is? And again, the little short words, so we need to be it is. How can I get? How can I get to the mall, to the supermarkets? How can I get, or how do I get? How can I get there? You can say, I need to get to the bank. Can you help me? How can I get there? Or you can ask a general question. Maybe you don't have a place, but what's a good place I should visit? And if you want to talk about the distance, is it close by? Is it far away? Or how far is it? So that's how I can ask someone, because I want to go to a place. I need help. Now, when we give directions, we say go past. That means that you have a place, and I'm saying continue. Go past. Go across the park or the bridge. Sometimes there's a big bridge, or if there's something that people can see, always say, you know, go across the library, go past the library. If there's something very important that they can see, that you'll see a monument, but go past it. It just means continue. Go through. Now, when you go through a place, you're going inside it. So what can you go inside? Maybe the park, because you can walk through the park. Go through the park. Cross the street. So that means go on the other side, cross the street. Go straight up. That just means continue. Continue until you get to whatever. So until, that means where you need to stop. So continue until, so you stop somewhere. Then I could use these words, and then take this street, and then do that, and then. So every time I change the information, I can say then. Take Peary Street, so you can say the name of the street. And that's just what it looks like. So go past, it shows you a little picture here. It means do not stop there. Go past. Go across. So you, like maybe the park, because you have to walk through somewhere. So the park, go across. Go straight up, that just means continue. Take the first street on the left, or take the first street on the right. Okay, so that's just some ways that we can, expressions, that just means some words that we can use when we need to ask someone where to go or tell them about a place. So what are we going to do? We're going to get into groups, and you're going to create a conversation. So maybe it's a husband and wife walking, they want to get somewhere, or maybe it's friends, they want to go somewhere. You need to stop someone on the street and ask them. So we're going to create conversations together, and then you're going to come up and show us, and we'll come and see how the English is. Okay, so if you remember, we were talking about places and how to get there. We were giving people instructions. So we are starting here at the Hilton Hotel, which is a hotel in Adelaide City. It's in the CBD, it's in the main city. So now Adriano, Silvio, and Brian are going to imagine that they are in this location in Hilton Hotel, and they want to go somewhere else. So they're going to ask someone, how do I get to wherever? How can I go? Okay, so let's listen and watch their conversation.
Hi. We will explain how to get there from the Hilton Hotel. First, head north on Victor Square, then continues to King William Street for about 250 meters. So, to let you memorial, ou que leaders. But even at the two place of the all. The oval.
So that was a group of one guy asking someone, how do they get to the south gate of the oval? So maybe they're going to go watch a football game or somewhere. And they used good directions. Okay, next team. Who would like to go next? Who did I check? Did I check yours?
Yes.
I checked it. Yes. Okay. So we have Juanita, Sebastian, and Dickerson. So let's listen to the instructions, the directions, how to go to a place. Okay. So everyone, we have to be quiet.
Hello. Hello. Can you hear me? Yes, sure. Where I go when beach? Can you tell how to get there? Can you tell me how to get there?
It's about, I don't
About 19 minutes. Oh, like a
go straight up Road Street and then take west turns on the left.
go down. Set outway. And finally there. Selling terrace on the left.
You can see the beach from there.
Great. Thank you.
So they were going to the beach, which was a little bit outside of the city, but that's okay. We wanted to stay in the city. So we had some people, they wanted to go to Glenelg Beach and they got instructions. So there was a nice big highway. When there's a highway, that's like a big street that has lots of cars. So it's the main street from Adelaide City to the beach. It's called Anzac Highway. And that's good. She said how long it will take. We want to say it takes 20 minutes. It takes 30 minutes to get there. Okay, who's the next team that I checked the English? I think Italo. You ready? Why? I checked your English. No? Okay, Italo, you're just gonna do it.
Presentation.
Good.
Yes.
So Italo, Oscar, and
And
that's it.
Laila.
Okay.
Oh, I am judge.
Yes.
I
Okay,
will
let's
start
listen
with
to
you
the
are
instructions.
Hello, my friends. My name is Ito. Wait, hi, Oscar. Hi, Oscar. How do I get to Alliance College? Alliance or Alliance? Alliance. Okay. I am today. You? Okay.
Hi, Italo. You are 5 minutes away from there.
Give me the direction.
Okay, you go
Around.
around Victoria Square, then turning right on the Fielder Street. Then turn left on the Gallen Place. Then turn right on the Pearl Street. Will it in the 1 minute? You will be an alien.
Did you remember it all? Now you have to remember the directions. Yes. Yes. Good. So I like this conversation because in English, it's very common. We say, and then, and then, and then. So take this street and then take this and then take that street and then turn left. So, and then is we repeat it many times. That's very common. Okay, who would like to go next? Who's ready? Yeah? I'll quickly check the English and then you can go. Okay. No, why? It's good. It's to practice. Okay, we have another direction. Gustavo, and Anna and Jonathan. So they're going to tell us how to go somewhere. Okay, so let's listen. Okay.
Well, hey guys, I need first. What is the tequila sunrise? Oh, the sunrise also is here. How about telling me how can I get to the? How can I get it? Yes. Oh. How can I get it?
Yes,
you're
holding the pain, so how can I get
Also, carry the feet still on the left, and then the sunrise, and then the turns left. On the street, continue 100 meters on Love Street, and then across Fifth Street. Then straight up Franklin Street. Then turn left and then go past Lisa Street.
Straight off Franklin Street, then to left and go past Elizabeth Street. I'll continue until you get to Wayman Street. Then left and the post will be.
So what was good about that conversation is there was a lot of and then as well. And I like how you said how long it was going to be. It's 10 minutes walking. So you also gave time and you said, you'll get there, you'll see a cafe. So that's how you know. So always it's good to tell someone. And when you get there, it's next to a cafe. You'll see a cafe. So someone can remember, okay, now I know what to look for when I arrive. So that's good. Thank you for sharing that. So we have one more. Okay, so we have another conversation with giving directions. Julian, Amarales, and Jimena. Okay, so let's listen to their conversation. Okay.
So your evening of working. On the way and pass by Central Market, who is right and out the work on the right.
Then you see, right there, you straight on the left, go past in Indigo Hotel, this opposite way. Thank you very much.
Directions to get to the hotel. Okay, so that's all we had for today. So now we know how to give someone directions. We know how to get somewhere, to tell them directions. Okay, we'll continue next lesson. We're going to be talking about our favorite city and talking about capital letters and writing about our favorite city. So we'll do that next lesson. See you tomorrow, everyone. Have a great day. Great night. Yeah, I know, but we didn't have time. Next time. But see you. Have a good night.